Hello, all, and welcome back to another episode of the GameTimeCT Pick'ems podcast. I'm your host, Pete Paguaga, and with me, as always, is Sean Patrick Bowley. Sean, week 2 is in the books. I have fallen down the standings like you predicted, but here we are heading into week 3. What's up, buddy? How are you doing?
The pride goeth before the fall. And Pete was very, very feeling his oats after that big week 1. And now back to earth, as often these things go. What goes up, Pete, must come down. And wow, thud. I did not do great either, but I'm kind of more middling, a little mediocre here. I mean, I'm not a great week 1, not a great week 2, and I was with you right there in a few of these dud picks, man. Like we did on the meat. You did on the meat grinder, we kind of got our clocks cleaned a little bit.
Yeah, I after my 9-1 start atop the leaderboard, I came in last. I came under the 8 ball. I came in 13th at 5-5. Not a great week. Dave Stewart led the way at 8-2, and shout out to Brian Carpenter. We called him out. He came in last week, his first week doing it. And he came in first this week, and that's what I told him. You got to stop thinking and just picking. And that's what I'm going to try and do the rest of the way. And I think that's what you do as well. But before we get into the week 3 games, just a reminder to please subscribe to our YouTube page where you're watching this. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, please rate, review, subscribe. It really does help us get to be able to do this each and every week. And we really do appreciate all of you who listen because we hear about it. So we know that there are listeners out there. Sean, you ready to dive into week 3?
Absolutely, Peter. Let's go. Hopefully this week I'll beat the 8 ball. I can't believe I tied the 8 ball. I don't remember did I ever tie the 8 ball before? Can't remember.
The 8 ball had like a couple of 6-4 or 7-3 weeks over the last couple of years, so it's possible.
It's good 8 ball weeks. Love the 8 ball, man. We love it. I mean, 8 ball is now sitting pretty over there in Norwalk this week.
All right, let's dive into week 3. Sean, we are starting in the NVL. This one we are all about. We've been talking about it. It is a Thursday night game. We got 2-0 Watertown going on the road to Ansonia to play the 2-0 Chargers. Watertown went to the double S final last year, lost to Barlow. Ansonia is Ansonia. I mean, I don't know how much we want to talk about, how great of a program Ansonia is. Watertown hasn't beaten Ansonia since 2009, and the time before that was 2005. The interesting thing about both of those games, Watertown won the game by 5 points both times. They're close games every time. Watertown stacked. Granby, all the boys are back from the state finals team. Ansonia didn't play super great against Seymour on Thursday, but multiple people scored touchdowns. Sorrentino, Whittle. I think that 5 different guys get to the end zone, maybe 6 different guys get to the end zone. I know they're playing with a spread offense to try and get more guys involved. The defense dominated, pushed around the line. But I heard this about Watertown. When Watertown showed up to Seymour in week 1 and they were walking up the hill, they looked like men. They looked big and bad, and they looked like men. Sean, I'm going to let you go first on this one because you love to put yourself in a corner with Ansonia at least once a year. So I figured I'd let you kick off the show with it.
Ansonia is one of those things where they win so many times, and it's just so rare. I mean, Tom Brockus got lost with, 15, 17 games in his entire, almost 20-year career. It's insanity. So it's like, the odds are you're picking against Ansonia is not a good idea. Not to say that it doesn't happen, as you listed right there. I mean, Tom wasn't a part of he was a part of that 05 team, but he wasn't head coach. 09, I remember being a huge shock, and it kind of was a signal of things to come. They didn't win the state championship that year in 09. Or was it? Yeah, it was 09. Was it 08? No, 08 they didn't win it. 09 they didn't win it. So, those were kind of like down Ansonia years. That said, I have to go with the Chargers here. I'm just going to go with the odds, although I'm going to hedge my bets here and say it would be not shocking if Watertown, showed up. I mean, they're show up. But beat Ansonia, tall order. I don't see it. But I've been wrong before. I'm going to go with the Chargers. Pete.
All right, I am going to flip the script. I'm going with Watertown here. Brady Granby is
go get him, Eddie. Eddie Lego. Go get him.
Watertown. Brady Gamby is the best player in the NVL. He's the biggest player in the NVL, not named Jacob Romanowski. He can do a lot. He can run. He can beat you with his arm. Again, Ansonia did not look great against Seymour. Just Seymour is not that good. I don't think you can make those types of mistakes against Watertown. They will capitalize. They're an experienced team. This isn't just a good Watertown team. This is a team that went to the finals last year and brought almost everyone back. So I think Watertown gets into the win column against Ansonia, and this is how I start another 5-5 week.
Yeah.
All right, it's a big alliance week, and this game was looking like it was going to be 1-1 versus 1-1. Or 2-0 versus 1-1, but I think we all thought Berlin would be 2-0 and Hand would be 1-1. But Hand is 2-0 coming off a massive butt kicking of Fairfield Prep last Friday, and Berlin lost on the final second to Platt. Hand just dominated. Again, if you want a full breakdown of the Hand game, go over to the Meat Grinder and listen. Just an absolute dominant performance from start to finish by the Tigers. And if you want to hear what happened in the Berlin Platt game, go listen to the Meat Grinder again because Sean was there. I'll go first on this one. I am not making the same mistake I made last week. I'm taking Hand. Sean, who do you like?
Yeah, look, as I learned, Berlin defense was really big for them in that game, and the offense just did not show up. Other than a big run by Melville, he didn't even score. He did catch a TD pass late. They could put them up 13-0, but when they needed the big yardage, it just couldn't get it done late. And 13 points is not going to cut it against Hand. Will they even score 13 against Hand? Prep only scored 3. I doubt it. I'm going with the Tigers.
Another great alliance matchup for an SEC team. Sheehan 2-0, going on the road all the way up to Killingly. Sheehan went up big against Xavier, gave it all away, scored late to beat Xavier. A huge win for the Titans, and they get Killingly, a comfortable Killingly team who is just plug and play. Oh, Soren Reef graduates? Here's Mr. Allard. He's going to just run you over for the next X amount of years. Oh, our offensive line graduated? Here are our big guys that have been lifting, bags of sand and flour in a gym for years. This is just two of the premier small programs in the state. Sean, who do you like in this one?
When you say Mr. Allard, Pete, there's two of them. They are twins. They're both juniors. Big trouble. The one, the running back is Hayden, who ripped up, didn't have as big a night as he did against Stonington last week, but still was very effective. And then his brother is very good too. Killingly looks like they're back on the mend. Remember, they were 0-2 this point last year and in big trouble, but they ended up going to playoffs. That said, Sheehan, after beating Xavier, I have a hard time picking against the Titans right now. It was a great, listen, you're going to have those games where you have a big lead, you let up, you think you got it in the bag, you let up a little bit, then you got to make some plays late. It's good practice, but don't do that too often to your coach and give him a heart attack. Faraz has got this team going. It looks like a state title contender. Could be a playoff, could be a championship preview for all we know. It looks like a great one. I'm going to go with the Titans, though.
All right. Yeah, me too. It's such a great win against Xavier. Like I said earlier this week, Sheehan beating a private school like Xavier, that's a great win for them. I have a hard time picking against them, against anyone going forward at this point. All right, we got a Pequot game. Granby 1-0 going on the road to play Rockville. Rockville's 2-0. Granby did not play last week due to threats at Coventry. The game got moved a couple of times, and they end up they're going to pick another date to play the game. They get Rockville. This game played last year was a week 1 game, got postponed because of the weather on Friday in the middle of the game. They moved it to Saturday. It got postponed because of no refs to later in Saturday. Then they went back and the refs weren't there and it got canceled. Then it got moved to their bye week. Rockville ended up playing, I think, 10 regular season. They got to the finals, so I think they played 13 games in 11 and a half weeks because of that. And you were at the Rockville-Granby game last year. Rockville came out with something to prove because they were not thrilled about all those postponements. That was when you found your boy, Jonathan Kashamba. And,
great game last.
The rest is kind of history there for Rockville. But Rockville's 2-0, Granby's 1-0. I'm going to go first on this one. I'll let you glow in your Kasamba finding, but I'm going to go with Rockville here. I truly think they're the best team in the Pequot every year. And until they get beat, I'm going to keep, picking the Rams. So, Sean, who do you like?
This is a tough one for me. I'm not really quite sure where to go with this. I mean, Kasamba's been. I mean, he had that touchdown on the fumble recovery in the end zone, and the legend began, as far as I was concerned. He's getting a lot of good looks. He's going to be a player in college. He's going to make somebody happy. But Rockville, obviously, they lost their running back from last year, and they've been kind of going with a bunch of sophomores to carry things. They did really well last week. I think the week off is going to hurt Granby a little bit. Now that I think about it. Might be a little bit of rust there. Cromwell's kind of rolling. I'm also going to go with the Rams, Pete.
All right. We got a fun FCAC matchup. This game is being played late September instead of late November. We got Ridgefield 1-1 going to Fujitani Field to play the 0-2 Wilton Warriors. Again, another one where I'm sitting here saying, I don't think Wilton would have been 0-2 if I would have picked this game in week 3, but here we are, Wilton coming off their loss against Norwalk, Ridgefield coming off a loss against Staples, but Ridgefield did win their opener, a very close one against Connor, very head-scratching. But this game's a rivalry game. Ridgefield dominated this game for so many years before Wilton was able to beat them with Parker Woodring and those guys. They were able to kind of beat Ridgefield, and the programs have kind of gone in opposite directions since. Sean, you get to go first on this one. Who do you like?
Man, remember those days when Wilton just could not beat Ridgefield, man? Could not beat Ridgefield. It was just everything that could go wrong, did go wrong, was Murphy's Law every single year. Kind of a new thing going on here. And, and as much as I'm a little disappointed, I mean, I thought they were going to show up against Norwalk. And granted, maybe Norwalk's that good. Who knows? But they showed up against Masuk. You thought, hey, you know what? Wilton's not going to be very bad. And then they kind of went out there and kind of got beat up a bit by Norwalk in that second half, especially. And then there's also Ridgefield, which didn't have a lot of offense in either of its 2 games, even though it's 1-1. So so I'm going to go with Wilton here to win their second game over Ridgefield in just a rare thing. Maybe they get a little streak going here. Who knows? But I'm going to go with the Warriors. They just looked a little bit better despite their 0-2 start.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Wilton here, too. Ridgefield not giving us really a lot of confidence. I think 11 points against Connard. I'm sorry, 11 points against Hall. I apologize to the residents of West Hartford. 11 points against Hall, and then, 7 points against a really good Staples team. I'm just going to go with Wilton in this one. All right, back to, I think we're going to finish back half with 5 Alliance games. Got this one up in the CCC territory. We got Newtown 2-0 on the road to Southington. Southington coming off a big win against Connard, the other West Hartford high school, for Ron Levesque's first win as the full-time head coach of Southington, because he had an interim coach win back in 2021. Newtown's 2-0 coming into this game. I really feel like Newtown has the best group of wide receivers in the state in Taylor, McManus, and Hardigan, and I think you put the ball in their hands any way that you can. Jaden Taylor was returning kicks last week. You try to get them the ball as best as they can, and I'll be honest, I don't see Southington being able to run with Newtown. We've seen it over the years that Southington has struggled with teams from the southern part of the state, and I think it continues here. I think Newtown wins this game. Sean, who do you like?
Yeah, Jaden Taylor's so good, and there's some other dudes in Newtown. I think they're, I don't want to say they're overlooked. They're cracked the top 10 now, finally. But certainly it's not a team we haven't talked too much about compared to some of the others. Southington, a little worried if you're going to get beat by Fairfield Prep, and then Fairfield Prep goes out to the Surf Club and gets smoked. You beat Connard, okay, but what does that mean? And Connard beat Pomper, which is 0-2. So maybe not as impressive win as it looked like week 1. That said, I'm going to go with Newtown here. Just kind of like, I don't know, I just feel like they're the more complete team at this point. I could be wrong. We'll see. It's at Southington, tough spot, but I'm going to go with Newtown. All
right. Moving down to an FCAC home team. We got Bloomfield 1-1 on the road, going to St. Joe's to play the 2-0 Hogs. We don't really know super much about Bloomfield. We know they have a lot of new guys. Cameron White, the juniors under center quarterback, had a really good first week, 3 touchdown passes, and he rushed for 100. But then they lost to Middletown. And that was a real head scratcher of what, maybe this isn't a Bloomfield team that rebounds as quickly as they have in the past. And obviously they're on the road to play St. Joe's. St. Joe's is 2-0. The Hogs are humming. H.T. Jones is playing really well. Sean, who do you like in this one?
Pete, I'm going to go with St. Joe. As much as I don't want to, kill Middletown too much. That's a big win for them. Really big win for them. And Bloomfield, is Bloomfield. And that's that. But now it's a little different. Now it's that was Middletown. I don't think Middletown's quite at St. Joe caliber. I think St. Joe's very good this year. Like I said, start off with a great win over North Haven and kind of mop the floor a little bit with West till last week. I'm going with the Hogs. I have seen no reason to think Bloomfield's ready for primetime yet. Saturday afternoon game, real tough spot. Going the Hogs.
All right. Ooh, I don't know what Maloney did to get this one, but for the next game, we got Maloney 1-1 on the road at Staples, 2-0 Wreckers, the defending double L champions. Maloney opened with the defending L champions, New Canaan, and got a lot of people picked Maloney to win that game. They did not. And you got Staples here is 2-0. Staples has not been challenged to start this year. They opened with Hamden in a head scratcher of an Alliance game that didn't really make sense to anyone. And then they got Ridgefield, a rebuilding Ridgefield team in week 2, whereas Maloney definitely challenged in the New Canaan game. And then, Glastonbury kind of had them on their heels before they were able to pull away. This one is really tough because, I want to sit here and I want to say, oh, Staples is so good. But they haven't played anybody. And that is the fact of the matter. You can't make it up. You can't say, oh, you're asleep. No, they haven't played anyone. They're 2-0. Great. Flip side, Maloney did not show up against New Canaan. Struggled early against Glastonbury before they kind of took off and won. I like Jesus Martell a lot. I love Ethan Nadinsky at quarterback. But, man, I have a hard time picking Maloney in this one. So I'm going to go with Staples. I do think Staples is really talented, and I think we're going to see it here. And Maloney's going to have their backs against the wall sitting at 1-2. Sean, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with you, Pete. I'm going to go with Staples. Maybe this is Kevin's big plan here to make everybody doubt them so then he can start really pumping them up in the locker room. But in this case, going down to Staples at Westport, under the lights there, that crowd, if it was at Falcon Field, maybe give them a little bit of a shot. They're going to have their hands full, Staples a little bit, defending Jesus Martell and Nadinsky. But yikes, warning signs early. New Canaan took them to the woodshed, and then last week, Glastonbury ran over him a lot. And I think Staples has got a lot of pieces, a lot of guys we have not talked about yet that we'll get to know very soon. But right now, defending champs at their place, I'm going with Wreckers.
All right. 2 more. This one, Masuk, 2-0 on the road to play the number 1 team in the state, New Canaan, who is also 2-0. Masuk, playoff team last year. New Canaan, defending L champions. We got a lot of talent on this field. Aaron Champagne, the Walker twins, right, over at Masuk. And then at New Canaan, you got Esposito, you got Robinson, you got Michael Smith, you got guys. Sean, who do you like in this crossover matchup?
Walker twin powers activate. Sorry, couldn't resist. Masuk was in a bit of a fight with Wilton in the first game. Went up to Enfield, which offered very little, if any, resistance. Now they go into the belly of the beast. Yeeps, good luck. I cannot pick against New Canaan at their place with those guys. Number 1, I say Masuk loses their first game. I'm going to go with the Rams.
Yeah, I too am going to go with New Canaan in this one. All right, the last one. Number 2, Darien in the poll. Number 1 in my poll still.
Yeah.
2-0 Blue Wave on the road to go to Windsor. All right, Windsor, real 2-0 as well, but we don't know the health of quarterback A.J. Robinson. He left the game Thursday against Simsbury. John Manning stepped in and ran a Wildcat offense the rest of the way. They were able to beat Simsbury. If that's their game plan, that's not going to work against Darien. Darien's got dudes. They got dudes. And then if you think those are the dudes, they got more dudes. And then if you think those are the dudes, they got even more dudes. So I'm picking Darien in this one. We hope AJ Robinson is healthy, and you obviously want to keep him healthy for a deep playoff run. But it's hard not to pick Darien in this one, even if he was 100% healthy.
No, even if he was 100%, I would not be going with Windsor in this one. Manning's going to be tough. The defense played great last week for Windsor. I mean, that was a heads-up effort. They were down 10-0. They didn't allow a point the rest of the way. Kid had 2 interceptions, one for pick 6. Good job. But now you're dealing with Darien, which has got a bunch of D1. Now, Windsor's got plenty of guys over the years who've gone D1 and beyond. Now they got guys in the NFL. They're not. So they're no stranger to this stuff. They're no stranger to they played at New Canaan last year. Now they get Darien come. They won't be surprised. I say they show up, but if they don't have Robbins in there, it's going to be very tough. And that said, I don't know what the situation is there, but that said, I'm going to go with Blue Wave. They're my number one team. I cannot pick against them. Not until they give me a reason to. So go get them, guys.
All right. Well, that is it for the Game Time CT Staff Pick'ems podcast. Like I said before the show, make sure to rate, subscribe, do all the stuff. Let us keep doing this show. And by doing all of that, you're really helping us. So for Sean Patrick Bowley, I'm Pete Paguaga. We'll see you guys next week. We'll see you out there this weekend on the field.
Peace.